wandered through the autumn winds, with hollow steps and silent sins. But in the hush before the light, I felt the world begin to write, and every breath turned gold and wide, as if the dawn could hear inside. Amber eyes, soft and true, you broke the dark and let me through, not with thunder, not with flame, but warmth that gently spoke my name. No need to run, no need to hide. I found myself in the amber rise. A soft smile curled across Charlie's lips as she leaned back into her pillow, the glow of the Vox tube screen casting pale light across her face. The voice that filled the room was unlike anything she'd expected, smooth, low, full of cigarette smoke and velvet confessions. Luke Strike. The name had only come up once. Cherry Bomb had mentioned it offhandedly, saying Angel sometimes played his songs when he was quiet. Nostalgic, she'd said, which, coming from Cherry, could mean anything between mourning a bad breakup and remembering a particularly good explosion. Curious, Charlie had looked him up. She hadn't expected to like it. Not really. She thought it would be crude, flashy, loud and dripping with affectation. But instead it ached. Luke sang like a man bleeding out through the melody. "That sounds nice," came Vaggie's voice from the doorway. Charlie glanced over, her smile softening further. "Yeah," she murmured. "It's the singer Cherry mentioned. Luke Strike. I've never heard of this guy before, but this song, it's got heart." Vaggie crossed the room and tucked a strand of silver hair behind her ear as she lowered herself beside Charlie. The two of them sat quietly, letting the song fill the air between them like incense. "Doesn't really seem like Angel's style," Vaggie said. "I thought so too," Charlie admitted. "But Angel's from the same era as Alastair, in a way. Maybe it's not about the song itself. Maybe it's the memory. Something about it feels like home." They listened, wrapped in the soft echo of longing. The lyrics unfolded like torn journal pages, each one more vulnerable than the last. Charlie found herself leaning forward as though the speaker might whisper something secret just for her. "It's nice," Vaggie said, almost reverently. "When a song surprises you like that." Charlie nodded. "Makes me wonder how many things we don't know about Angel." "You mean besides the singing?" Charlie gave a hum of agreement. "Cherry says she prefers his voice over Luke's, which is saying a lot. This song, it's raw." "We've heard him sing before," Vaggie pointed out. "Like when we were all cheering you on." He joined in. Charlie smiled softly, but it faded as she heard the song end. "I don't think I've ever heard Angel sing on his own, certainly not like this." Vaggie frowned. "If he's really that good, why work in porn instead of music?" Charlie tilted her head. "Maybe he does sing in his videos?" "Or maybe," Vaggie said softly, "maybe it's something personal. Something he only shares with people he trusts. Or maybe," she added after a pause, "he just doesn't think anyone would care. Not when they're only looking at him for one thing." Silence. Not awkward, just heavy like the space between thoughts. Charlie leaned forward, tapping into the search bar. Angel Dust songs. A gallery of thumbnails filled the screen. Flashy, dramatic, loud. Titles glared up at them like neon warnings. "Use me up." "Velvet Noose." "Addict." And near the top, "Poison," uploaded just a few months ago. "Oh," Vaggie muttered, skeptical. "These don't sound appropriate." Charlie giggled. "It is Angel. But maybe there's more to them than the titles suggest." Her finger hovered over the thumbnail for Poison. "This one's recent." "Maybe." Knock knock. They froze. "Guests." Nifty's chirpy voice rang out before her bright face appeared in the doorway, practically sparkling. "We have new guests." Charlie bolted upright, heart skipping. "Already? From the commercial?" Nifty nodded so hard her bow nearly came undone. Two of them down in the parlor. Alastair's already chatting them up. Charlie slipped on her heels and was halfway to the stairs before the words had even finished leaving her mouth. "I'll be right down." Vaggie watched her go, the ghost of a smile lingering on her lips. Then her gaze dropped back to the screen. Poison waited. Paused. Unopened. A door they hadn't yet stepped through. She hesitated, then picked up the remote and pressed play. As Charlie bounded down the stairs below, light with new hope, ready to greet the strangers at her door, Vaggie sat in the hush of their room listening. An angel dust's voice, raw and unguarded, filled the air. "So then," Alastair inquired, crimson eyes narrowing as a wry grin tugged at the corners of his mouth, "you've come to join the hotel. What made the two of you interested, He studied them like a cat might study two mice who had wandered straight into his parlor, charmed, intrigued, but calculating the most theatrical way to bite off their heads. Standing before the infamous radio demon were two spider demons, youthful, yes, but radiating a calm, deliberate energy that belied their age. The elder of the pair was cloaked in concrete gray fur streaked with charcoal undertones. His sleek, steel-tinted black hair framed a face that was equal parts elegant and unnerving. His scara were pitch black, his pupils stark white and shaped like thorn tips. Three smaller eyes flanked each cheek, glimmering faintly like coals in low light. His gaze, omnidirectional and quietly piercing, gave the unsettling impression that he was reading the room in multiple dimensions at once. Beside him stood his younger brother, for a frostier gray, his short hair dyed dark at the roots and fading toward deep ocean blue at the tips. Markings, 3 black strokes above one eye and 3 below the other, gave his face the look of a living cipher. Where his brother stood like a strategist, this one held a coiled tension, wilder, reactive, yet contained. Both wore sharply pressed slacks in graphite gray, silver suspenders clipped over white dress shirts. The elder, Ari, stood just ahead, subtly shielding his brother with the protective instincts of someone who expected danger to fall from the ceiling at any moment. "We heard about this place around town," Ari said, voice smooth, confident. There was a hint of challenge beneath the charm. "My fratello and I are looking for a change. Your hotel caught our attention. Then you've come to the right place." Charlie's voice rang out from above like sunlight piercing through stained glass. She descended the grand staircase with radiant grace, each step catching the chandelier's golden light. Her hair shimmered like molten gold, and her smile, warm, sincere, seemed to momentarily brighten even the moody haze of the lobby. "Welcome to the Has-Been Hotel," she announced, stopping just before them and extending her hand. "I'm Charlie, the founder. You've met Alastair. And you are?" "I'm Riven," said the younger one, taking her hand with a polite nod. His grip was firm but uncertain, like someone still deciding whether this was a handshake or a gamble. "Charmed to meet you." "I'm Ari," the elder said, bowing his head slightly. "My trade is in textile manufacturing, specifically silk weaving." "How wonderfully traditional," Alastair drawled, the grin widening. "There's something sacred about preserving the old crafts. You must have remarkable dexterity." "High-quality fabric isn't as appreciated as it used to be," Ari replied, his gaze flicking to Alastair's immaculately tailored suit. "But some still recognize its worth." Alastair's eyes flashed. His grin didn't fade, but something sharper simmered beneath it now. Amusement tempered by calculation. "Word of advice," he murmured, his voice smooth as poison. "Flattery only gets you so far in hell. Sometimes it gets you nowhere at all." Charlie stepped in quickly, redirecting the moment before it could tip too far into discomfort. "Thank you both for coming," she said, regaining the warmth. "We keep our staff and guests together on the second floor. It's not the busiest place yet, but we're growing." She let her gaze linger, her voice taking on the soft shimmer of sincerity. We believe in second chances. Even if heaven has forgotten us, that doesn't mean we have to keep living like monsters. She smiled again. We're a family here. And I want you to feel welcome, too. For the first time, a subtle shift flickered between the brothers. A pause. Their eyes met, quick, silent. Not gratitude. Calculation. The word family was pressure. Pressed against a wall they'd been taught to keep fortified. Crack, if left alone, might widen. Come with me. Nifty burst in like a firecracker wrapped in gingham, zipping into the room with twinkling energy. We have lovely corner rooms just waiting for you boys. Charlie gave a sheepish smile. Nifty tends to get excited, especially around, new faces. But she really does mean well. Before Nifty could latch herself to an unsuspecting arm, Alastair cut in smoothly. How about I escort them, he said, still smiling, but now with a purpose. It'll give us a chance to settle in properly. And you, dear Charlie, have that redemption activity to prepare. We wouldn't want to keep any hopefuls waiting, would we? Charlie caught the cue. Ah, Nifty, didn't you say you were planning to try that lasagna soup Angel taught you? The little demon gasped. Ooh, yes. Lasagna soup. And with that, she vanished in a blur toward the kitchen. Alastair gestured grandly toward the staircase. Right this way, gentlemen. Ari and Riven followed without a word. Every movement they made was rehearsed, refined, exacting. Down in the lobby, Husk watched from behind the bar, a drink untouched in his hand. You realize those two aren't here for redemption, he said flatly. Charlie turned, her smile dimming. Ari said he worked in textiles. Could be, Husk allowed. Could also be code. I watched them the whole time. While Ari was talking you up, Riven was casing the room. Every exit. Every hallway. Every demon. Charlie's brows creased, her optimism wavering. And when you mention family? Husk leaned forward, voice low. They flinched. Not surprised. Trained. Like they'd been warned to expect that word. Charlie was quiet for a long moment. Then her voice dropped, softer than before. Angel. Husk nodded. Probably. Ragno blood runs deep. They're not subtle, but they're not sloppy either. They think this hotel's protecting something? They'll dig till they find it. Charlie looked to the stairs where the three had vanished, then turned back toward Husk, her eyes sharper now. My dad placed protections on the hotel, she said quietly. Old magic. Deep magic. If anyone enters with the intent to harm or destroy, the hotel knows. It will act. I hope so, Husk muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. Because if it doesn't, this place is one bad move from turning into Extermination Season 2. He drained his glass. And sweetheart, he added grimly, I don't think we'd survive the rerun. Hey, Sal, Riven said, his voice cutting through the velvet-hued silence after Alastair's footsteps had faded down the hall. The room Ari had claimed felt more like a crime lord's private study than a guest suite. The wallpaper bled deep crimson, patterned with gold spiderwebs that shimmered under the flicker of twin sconces. Dark walnut wainscoting grounded the space in a heavy, old-world gravity. Shadows shifted across the furniture like memories that didn't belong to them. The bed, if one could call it that, was a fainting couch draped in brocade, its gilded legs curling like claws, a curtain draped around it like a confessional booth. It wasn't a room meant for comfort. It was a statement. Power. Secrecy. Elegance threaded with dread. Riven traced his fingers along the polished lip of the mahogany desk. The wood was warm, real. Felt like stepping into a story someone else had started writing decades ago. You feel it too, Fredolino? Ari's voice was quiet, nearly lost in the hush. He stood by the curtained window, arms crossed, face caught in the flickering sconce light. His eyes, white thorns against a midnight iris, reflected like blades just under the surface. "The feeling that we're the mistake," he murmured. "That this place, this hotel, this whole setup wasn't meant for us. Like the story was already halfway told and we just barged in at the wrong chapter." He drifted to the desk, brushing the edge of an old-fashioned inkwell, nearly identical to the one their father kept in his office when they were boys. His fingers paused there, reverent, remembering. "But maybe there's a reason we're here. Papa wouldn't have sent us unless he thought it mattered." Riven exhaled slowly, the tension in his frame loosening. Ari's voice had always grounded him. "Maybe," he said, eyes scanning the room again. Until we know what we're walking into, we stay sharp. Especially with the weirdos running this joint." Ari's gaze remained on the inkwell. "Papa only said to monitor angel dust. Make sure he's not plotting against the family." "That's it." He leaned back against the desk, arms folding across his chest. "But here's the thing," he continued, tone hardening. "Papa never mentioned angel dust growing up. You and I were kids when that train crushed him in '49. After that, when Nonino got sent to Rikers and died inside, the Ragno family got folded into the Denatalis like we were just another set of debts being reconciled. But none of the old books mentioned angel dust." "What about?" Riven hesitated. "Didn't Papa have a younger brother? We only saw one aunt now and then, but I remember pictures. There was a guy who looked like Zia Mali. Same features. Same eyes. Just shorter hair. Like a male version of her." Ari's brows drew together. "Yeah," he said slowly. "I remember. Always in the background. Never at the table. Never in the room when we visited. Like he'd already been ghosted before he even died." Riven's voice dropped. "I remember the day someone got taken out of Nano's house on a stretcher. I never forgot it. We were told to stay inside. Don't ask questions. Papa was pacing all day. Mama said it was overdue. But Papa looked like the world had caved in." Ari didn't speak right away. His jaw tightened. "Yeah," he said eventually. "It was chaos. But no name was ever mentioned. It was like they wanted him erased." "Maybe angel dust was that uncle," Riven said quietly. "Or what he became." Another silence stretched between them, thick, full of implication. "Zio Anthony," Ari murmured at last. "That was his name. Papa's younger brother. Supposedly sick in the head. Mama never let us near him. Said we might get confused." "Zia Mali had a different tone," Riven said. "She never said crazy. She said sad. That he was misunderstood. Like no one ever gave him the chance to be anything else." Ari sat on the edge of the fainting couch, hand dragging through his hair. "It's the family way, isn't it?" he said bitterly. "If someone doesn't fit the mold, we don't fix the mold, we break the piece. Toss it. Forget it was ever ours." Riven leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "So what are we doing here? Spying on someone we were taught to hate? Or someone the family was too afraid to understand?" Ari's eyes flicked toward the door, instinctively checking for listeners. "We're here to finish the job," he said. "Watch angel dust. Confirm if he's working against us. Nothing more. Come on, Sal." Riven's voice gentled, using the nickname only he could. "This is eating you alive. You think Angel is Zio Anthony. You know it. And you're trying to pretend it doesn't change anything." Ari said nothing. "Then, if it is him, why now? Why live like this for 70 years? Why let everyone believe he was a traitor when he's done nothing? If he wanted revenge, he'd have struck when the pain was fresh, not after it's turned to memory. Exactly, Riven said. Which means maybe he never was trying to betray anyone. Ari's voice dropped to a whisper. Then why send us? Why now? Riven met his gaze solemn. Because someone's afraid the truth is about to come out. And they want to get ahead of it. Ari's lips pressed into a thin line. The wallpaper behind him seemed to breathe with unspoken tension. Like it remembered. Like the walls themselves had ears and wounds. We find the truth, Ari said finally. But we stay quiet. No one suspects us yet. If the family really buried Zio Anthony's story, then we dig, Riven finished. But we play the part. Smile. Nod. Pretend we're just two lost boys looking for a second chance. Ari's expression turned grim. Exactly, he said. Until the time's right. And until we know what Zio Anthony really is. Charlie hummed softly to herself as she ascended the staircase, a gentle tune trailing behind her like mist. Below, the hotel was alive, soft chatter drifting from the lounge, the occasional clang of pans echoing from the kitchen as Nifty prepared dinner. But inside her chest, a storm had begun to brew. The room she shared with Vaggie was a sanctuary. Warm pastels, fairy lights, personal touches that defied hell's oppressive darkness. But as she reached for the door, her rhythm faltered. Husk's voice echoed in her mind. His suspicion that Ari and Riven were more than they claimed to be. Thighs. Quiet daggers wrapped in silk. And yet, Charlie hadn't sensed malice. Not really. If anything, she had glimpsed something else in their eyes. Uncertainty. Hesitation. Even the tiniest spark of hope. Still, it wasn't the brothers that weighed most heavily on her heart. It was angel dust. The memory of his encounter with Arachnus returned, sharp and heavy. There had been no violence, no outburst. But there didn't need to be. Angel had shielded Cherry and ushered Nifty away with a kind of grace most people never saw in him. Charlie had felt proud and then deeply, silently heartbroken. 'Cause it had hurt him. She could see it in his eyes. His family, however fractured, had returned. And Angel had stood beneath it, bearing the weight in silence. Her hand lingered on the doorknob. Family wounds never healed easily. She knew that. She'd lived it. And as much as she wanted to help Angel carry his pain, she also knew, push too hard and it would break what little trust they'd built. She opened the door quietly. I wish you had come downstairs with me, Vaggie. Her words softened to stillness when she saw her. Vaggie was curled up on the window bench, her posture hunched and defensive. One hand gripped Charlie's hell phone tightly, the other braced against the cushion, knuckles white. The screen was face down, as if she couldn't bear to look at it again. Vaggie. Charlie crossed the room in a heartbeat. Concern flared in her voice. What happened? Vaggie looked up, distant. Sorry, she murmured. So, we have new residents? 2 brothers, Charlie replied, trying for a note of lightness. Ari and Riven. I'm glad, Vaggie said quietly, but her voice was hollow. Her eyes were still somewhere else. Charlie knelt before her. Vaggie. What's wrong? Vaggie hesitated. Then, I listened to one of Angel's songs. Poison. Charlie's breath caught. I think he's using his music to cry for help. The words landed like a stone in her chest. Vaggie wasn't prone to dramatics. If she was saying this, it mattered. What did you hear? Charlie asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It's not just the lyrics, Vaggie said, her voice raw. It's the way he sings. There's so much pain in it, Charlie. Like he's drowning. And this is the only way he knows to scream. Charlie reached for the phone. The screen still glowed faintly, displaying the paused track. Poison Angel Dust. A silent look passed between them. She pressed play. The room filled with slow, haunting synth. A melancholic keyboard line unspooled across the space like smoke. Then Angel's voice emerged, silky, aching, and cracked at the edges. I got so good at being untrue. I got so good at telling you what you want to hear. I disassociate, disappear. It wasn't a performance. It was a confession. Angel wasn't singing about pain. He was the pain. Chorus struck like glass under bare feet. I know you're poison, you're feeding me poison. Addicted to this feeling, I can't help but swallow. Charlie stared at the screen, tears rising behind her eyes. This wasn't metaphor. It was real. Addiction. Trauma. Abuse. Every beat of the song bled truth. And when the final verse came, it broke her. Wish I had something to live for tomorrow. The silence that followed was unbearable. It's bad, isn't it? Vaggie said softly. Charlie nodded. Her voice was a ghost. Why didn't I see this? I should have seen this. You couldn't have known, Vaggie said, resting a hand on her shoulder. He never lets you see what's real. Not fully. Charlie's eyes were distant. I did once. And then she told her. About Valentino's studio. About how Angel had begged her to leave. About the look in his eyes. The moment Valentino ran his tongue up her arm and offered her a job. How Angel came back with a black eye and was thrown onto the set like trash. She was crying now. I wanted to help him, she whispered. But he pushed me away. Said I was making it worse. And I believed him. I thought it was what he wanted. Vaggie wrapped her arms around her, holding her tightly. We'll fix it, she murmured. We'll help him. Somehow. Charlie nodded into her shoulder. But her mind was already racing, back to the courtroom in heaven. Valentino's hissed words. Angel's chillingly calm reply. You own me at the studio. Like our deal says. Charlie pulled back slowly. Her voice steadied. Vaggie, what if Valentino owns Angel's soul? Vaggie froze. What? I never considered this before, Charlie said. But what if Angel made a deal? Vaggie's expression darkened. It would explain everything. Why he always goes back to the studio. Why he never leaves despite how much it does bug him. He's not choosing it. He's bound to it. Charlie stood, new fire lighting behind her eyes. Then we need to break that deal. Vaggie rose as well. We don't even know how. But Alastair does, Charlie said. He knows the rules. The loopholes. He's seen these kinds of contracts. Vaggie hesitated. We're walking into dangerous territory, Charlie. Charlie turned to her, gaze unshakable. So is Angel. And he's been walking it alone for too long. Angel choked violently as his head was wrenched from the basin, water cascading from his face and soaking his fur. He gasped for air, air that scalded rather than soothed. His lungs burned, not from drowning. Hell wouldn't let him die again, but from the agony of not being allowed to. Every breath was a convulsion. His soaked fur clung to him like a second skin, suffocating and slick. Puddle beneath him mocked him with its stillness. Valentino loomed. His silhouette shimmered in the flickering red light, a ghost formed of rot and silk. His voice slithered through the room like arsenic wrapped in honey. Now then, Angel Dust, he snarled, each syllable a bruise. You will tell that prissy little princess to stop sniffing where she doesn't belong. You're moving back into the studio. Permanently. Angel gasped, shaking. His teeth clattered with cold and dread. It won't work, he rasped. They'd know something's wrong. Then make it work. Valentino's voice dropped low, sharp. His shadow stretched, swallowing Angel whole. I still own you. You'll do what I tell you. Angel raised his head. His eyes, rimmed in red, flickered with something rare, defiance. Charlie ain't stupid like you. Flash. He didn't finish. The water enveloped him again, colder than before. This time, the panic hit immediately like a knife to the lungs. He kicked, struggled, flailed, but the ice sank deeper, pulling the breath from him before it could form. Seconds twisted. Eternities passed inside that basin. When he was yanked back up, he came out sobbing, desperate, coughing up water that was slightly tinged pink with blood. I am sick of this game, Valentino spat. He threw Angel aside like refuse. The spider demon crumpled to the floor, coughing, wheezing, shivering. He lay curled on the cracked tile, ribs heaving, water dripping from his ears, his lashes, his trembling fingers. Felt like dying. Again. Then came the chain. It hissed into being, smoke and blood, red and spectral. Valentino summoned it with a flick of his claw. It unspooled like a serpent, coiling through the air before snapping tight around Angel's throat. With one tug, Angel was dragged across the floor like a discarded pet. To remind you, Valentino leaned in, his breath hot, rotten. I own you. The chain tightened. You'd still be Anthony, a nameless, drugged-up street rat giving blowjobs in Hell's bathroom stalls if it weren't for me. He rose, spreading his arms like a prophet drunk on his own gospel. I made you. I gave you the name Angel Dust. I gave you a stage. A career. That little pig you love? Mine. That studio apartment? Mine. Protection from your papa? Mine. You owe everything to me. And this is how you repay me? By playing redemption games with Lucifer's brat? Angel said nothing. He couldn't. The chain had begun to whisper, memories, guilt, addiction, every regret he carried twisted into a noose. His thoughts frayed. Valentino's cologne, the glint of the lights above, the sound of his own ragged breathing, all of it warped into something tight and unbearable. Valentino sneered. You think that hotel is your salvation? That blonde little bitch is going to get you into heaven? He chuckled darkly. She can't even clean up her own damned house. Do you know why her precious daddy got kicked out? 'Cause he thought he was better than God. She's just like him. And when her little dream crumbles, and it will, you'll come crawling back to me. Angel's lips parted. He tried to speak. Tried to think. But the cold hadn't left. And neither had the weight. Valentino's words had begun to wrap around his ribs, squeezing until he couldn't remember which version of himself had started this war. Answer me. Valentino barked, the chain yanking tighter. Angel gasped, the words falling from his mouth in a broken whimper. Yes. Valentino. Silence. Chain loosened. Good boy, Valentino purred. His grin returned, sickly and smug. You may go. Bright and early tomorrow. Don't forget. He turned his back. Angel didn't move. Couldn't. Not at first. Only when two faceless stagehands arrived, mute, gray, soulless, did the restraints fall from his wrists. His arms burned as blood returned. His knees threatened to give. Till he stood. Slowly. One breath at a time. The walk back to his dressing room stretched forever. He passed corridors he knew too well, stained wallpaper, flickering lights, hollow mirrors reflecting something he didn't want to see. Inside the dressing room, he changed. His fingers trembled as he buttoned his shirt. Every joint screamed. The warmth of the fabric couldn't reach the cold that lived beneath his skin now. He didn't sit. He didn't dare. Couch in the corner. He knew what happened if you stayed too long. If you rested. He stepped into the hall. Rain hit him the moment he stepped outside. sideways, stinging cold. The wind clawed at his face. But Angel didn't flinch. He was already soaked. He walked. No coat. No umbrella. Just the slap of his shoes on the wet pavement and the weight of invisible chains dragging behind him. He didn't know where he was going, but his feet turned toward it anyway, toward the only place that had ever pretended to be a home.